There are three little birds that we send out into the world that carry our regard. They're named attraction, aversion, and neutrality. Their nicknames are I like it, I hate it, and I don't give a shit about it. Think about your relationship to objects of so-called reality. The purpose of the ego is to identify objects, confirm that they are not you and that they exist outside of you, for the sole purpose of convincing itself that it actually exists. It's like mental echolocation. The ego bat squeaks, "You're a thing!" And that squeak echoes back, "Yep, and so are you. Fucking yes." And then the ego, utilizing thought, categorizes objects by dispatching one of our three little birds in order to designate it for the purpose of creating a fabricated uniqueness of personality based on our bird ratios. Now, why does the ego work so fucking hard to convince us that we exist? Well, have you ever actually looked for your mind? That's a clue, boo. When someone asks, tell me about yourself, how much of what we respond is actually just our three little birds? I love my family. I hate fake people. I like to hike. I don't like fucking walnuts in my brownies. I don't care about sports or politics. Three little birds perched on my ego step, singing their me songs of melodies of relative truths. Their messages, I swear there's a you, ooh, ooh. Do you know what suffering is? It's not pain. Some people love pain. They get off on it. They categorize pain with the bird of attraction. So that ain't it. Suffering is an aversion to what is. That's it. It's that simple. I'll say it again. Suffering is an aversion to what is. We run towards attractions and away from aversions. If we're stuck with an aversion, be it a person, a condition, a circumstance, a responsibility, a feeling or experience, or whatever the fuck, if we can't run from it, we suffer because of the bird of aversion, tweeting its little ass off. There's this dude, you probably heard of him, they call him Buddha, and he said that desire is the root of suffering. And at the surface, desire sounds kind of like attraction because we're running towards something. But what is desire? If we desire something, it's because we don't have it or we don't think we do. We desire because we have an aversion to what is, and we think the object of our desire will make shit better, will fill our emptiness, will complete our incomplete feelings about ourselves, that it will make whole what we feel is only partial. We desire because we think this moment needs enhancement, or we have to pave our non-existent future with pleasure. We are not satisfied with what is right now, and thus we suffer in our ignorance of what the fuck is actually going on. But guess what? We don't need to know what the fuck is going on. So there you go, you're off the hook. We don't have to try and not desire because that's a desire to not desire. You can't think your way out. Thinking just makes a bigger nest for your three little birds. Suffering and happiness are a fucking teeter-totter. We have an aversion to what is and we suffer. We experience happiness and we cling to it because we know it's temporary, and thus we have an aversion to the fact that happiness is temporary. Suffering lurks around every damn corner. But let's be practical, shall we? Let's use the mind to not dig a deeper hole of thought, but to observe and utilize the thought forms that occur within it to figure it the fuck out. A practical practice is in order. We can start right now. Example, all my words are being met by birds. Your three little birds. What bird have you dispatched so far? If this shit's resonating, you send the I like it bird. If this shit is threatening some other shit you think you know and of which your ego is defending because it's supporting your alleged reality, then you send the I hate it bird. If you were just scrolling to find someone twerking or baking something or some shit, then you sent the I don't give a shit bird and they're probably already gone. So if you can at least identify the bird you sent, then you're taking a step back into the empty but wakeful field of mind in order to observe. Instead of your attraction, aversion, or neutrality bird being activated by something external and identifying with it and making it about something outside of yourself, you just turn the whole thing inside out. And now you have the opportunity to make how you regard shit not about the shit itself, but about your three little birds, about your desire to be happier or more knowledgeable or capable or unfucked, or your aversion based on what attachments you have to who you think you are and what you think this reality game is all about. If you observe your system and thoughts as occurrences that occur within you, then you can weaken identification, and as a result, you won't be so fucked up by shit that happens supposedly out there, or feel angry or bad or disappointed with the way your system reacts. You can watch and you can just let it be whatever the fuck it is. Most of the charge of feeling shitty is our own resistance to the temporary state we've labeled shitty. Again, it's the aversion to what is that makes us want to run from it, change it, conquer it, and so forth. What if you just let it be whatever it is? What if you put those three little birds back in their cage? Practice observing thoughts and realize that you are not your fucking thoughts. Thoughts are electrical storms that occur within the empty sky of mind. You don't have to label and categorize and judge them. You don't have to define yourself by them. You can just let them be whatever they are. If you can practice observation, then you can practice letting everything just be what it is. I can't tell you exactly how. It's not a thinking process, and if I try to spell it out, I'll portray it in a false container. You just have to do it. Let everything just be what it is. Where you're tight, make it loose. Where you're rigid, become soft. Where you're solid, liquefy. Let it be whatever the fuck it is. That means your outer circumstances, your physical sensations, both pleasure and pain, your emotional reactions, and your thoughts. In other words, fucking everything. This isn't about disassociating, not at all. This is about ultimate acceptance of what is. It's about clipping the wings of the three little birds and observing reality as it is, not how you've been forcing it or wanting it to be or wishing that it wasn't. This isn't about suppression whatsoever. It's about more fully experiencing and expressing your experience of existence, because you're letting everything within you just be as it is. If you're running to something, then you're simultaneously running away from something else. I'm also not saying don't act or don't do shit. Acceptance doesn't mean let motherfuckers walk all over you. From a state of observation and acceptance, when your system reacts, you'll notice the mechanics of it and will be able to make a cognitive choice as to whether it's appropriate to unleash this reaction in its raw form or rein it into conscious action. Reaction is unconscious and born of identification. In a way, it's safer to tell you what this isn't about so that you can intuitively flood into what it is. Thoughts really fucking want you to think them. They're relentless. Don't try to stop thinking. That will produce more thoughts. It's entirely about right now. Thoughts can come and go, but you are the eye of the storm in this eternal moment, so try not to get swept away. Alrighty, well, that's all I'm going to say about that. This is a practice, not a bunch of words and shit. As we discussed, suffering is tied to the active bird of aversion and is implied by the bird of attraction. And the bird of neutrality is kind of a boring little fucker. Three little birds perched on my mind step, singing me songs, melodies of relative truth. Go figure it the fuck out. Toodaloo, ooh, ooh.